Welcome back to Fox Recaps. Today I'm going to explain the movie Prevenge, released in the year 2016. The movie starts as we see a distraught pregnant lady named Ruth sitting on a bench, remembering what seems like a death scene on a cliff by a sea. After collecting herself, the woman changes into new clothes and heads to a reptile shop. There, Ruth is welcomed by a man named Zabek, who seems to know her. Ruth reveals that she's there to buy a pet for her 8-year-old son. Zabek shows her exotic lizards and snakes, but nothing seems to interest her, so he offers to show Ruth his personal collection and escorts her to a private section of his shop. When he turns his back towards her to take out a spider from its glass cage, Ruth grabs a knife from the table and slits his throat. Zabek collapses on the ground and bleeds to death. Ruth gives him a kiss before fleeing the scene. After returning to the bench from earlier in the movie, Ruth burns all evidence of the murder. She then gets on a train where she pulls out a children's notebook titled Baby's First Step from her bag. In the notebook, she has drawn a disturbing picture of her pregnant self flailing a knife in her hand. After returning to her apartment, Ruth lays down on her bed and tearfully looks at a picture of her late husband, Matt. Suddenly, Ruth's neighbors upstairs start having loud intercourse, making her miss Matt even more. It is then revealed that Ruth can hear the baby she is carrying in her womb. The baby girl speaks to her mother and consoles her. The next day, Ruth goes for her midwife appointment. The midwife asks Ruth to show up regularly for her checkups and tells her facts and trivia about pregnancy. She tells her to be prepared for when she would hear high-pitched sounds later on in pregnancy and start squirting milk from her boobs like rockets. She adds that pregnant women have no control over their mind or body, but the baby does. Babies know what to do, and they'll tell their mothers what to do. Unbeknownst to the midwife, Ruth's baby is already speaking to her and telling her what to do. After her checkup, Ruth goes shopping. She buys disco clothes and changes into them before heading to a dance bar's weekly disco night. DJ Dan is enthusiastically playing songs to a couple of patrons at the bar. Ruth is slightly weirded out by the goofy DJ's lame attempt at hyping the dead crowd. After he finishes his gig, Ruth approaches him at the bar and offers to buy him a drink, but he turns her down. However, Ruth is persistent and eventually makes him accept the drink. Seeing Ruth flirting with him, Dan clearly tells her that he's not looking for a relationship or baggage to carry around with him. He says that he's too young for that, and for now, he just likes to be a weekend warrior. Ruth tells him that they're a match made in heaven because she's not looking for anything serious either. Relieved, Dan pays for the second round of drinks. Ruth only pretends to drink and stays sober, while she gets Dan wasted. After drinking and dancing their hearts out at the bar, Dan and Ruth take a cab to his apartment. On the way there, Dan throws up and grossly makes out with Ruth. At the apartment, Ruth bombards him with questions, asking him if he has someone who loves him, to which Dan replies that he has his mother who loves him unconditionally. Dan then puts on some sensual music to get them going, but Ruth again starts asking him questions and asks him if he wants to have kids. Irritated, Dan replies he doesn't want kids and proceeds to make love with her when Dan's mother Michelle shows up. It is revealed that Dan lives with his mother who suffers from Alzheimer's. Dan rudely sends his mom back to bed and continues to make love to Ruth. However, Ruth is a bit troubled by the way he talked to his mother. Dan could care less about what Ruth thinks of him and puts his hands in her pants only to realize that she is pregnant. It turns out he was under the impression that Ruth was a plus-sized woman. When he proceeds to retreat, Ruth slices his balls with a knife. Dan screams in pain and collapses on the ground. Ruth taunts him, saying how messy relationships, kids, and responsibilities are. Attracted by the commotion, Michelle again gets out of her room and finds her son on the ground. However, the old woman doesn't realize that her son is bleeding to death, and Ruth takes her back to her bedroom and tucks her into bed. Ruth then gives Dan a kiss on the forehead before fleeing yet another crime scene. After returning back to her apartment, Ruth takes a warm candle bath and talks to her baby again. The baby tells her that she's getting better at killing people, to which Ruth agrees. Ruth tells her that she's changing into something else thanks to her. When Ruth mentions having second thoughts about killing people, the baby tells her to remember what those people did. It's revealed that Zabek, Dan, and a group of people are responsible for Matt's death. The baby calls them selfish and adds that most people think babies are sweet, but she is bitter. Later, Ruth meets a lawyer named Ella Harding for a job interview. Ella likes her resume but doesn't hire her because Ruth is about to give birth and she'll have to take maternity leave as soon as she starts her job. Even after failing to secure the job, Ruth continues to make small talk with Ella and asks her if she always works this late. Ella reveals that she works hard during the week and does something adventurous on the weekend. Thinking that Ruth is actually interested in her hobbies, Ella tells her about the time she went to skydive. However, Ruth takes a jab at her, telling her that these adventurous activities are not a substitute for a personality. Insulted, Ella tells her to get the motherhood thing out of her system before she interferes in the other people's business. When Ruth walks up to her, Ella extends a handshake, thinking she's leaving. To her astonishment, Ruth gives Ella a kiss on the lips before smashing her head on the table and slitting her throat with a knife. After killing Ella, Ruth power walks out of Ella's office and begins to celebrate, but her daughter tells her not to get cocky and draw attention towards herself. The baby reminds Ruth that she is the mastermind of all these murders and Ruth couldn't have done it without her. After returning home, Ruth watches an old news clip reporting her husband's death. It is revealed that Ruth's husband died in a rock climbing accident when he was cut loose by the rest of his group. In the new report, Matt's climbing instructor, Thomas Hamden, calls his death a tragic accident. Enraged, Ruth decides to make Tom her next victim and goes to the rock climbing school where he works the next day. She introduces herself to him and vaguely taunts him about the tragic incident in which her husband lost her life. Tom feigns ignorance and declines to teach her because of the health risks due to her pregnancy. On her way back to the apartment, Ruth's daughter starts kicking her stomach for not killing Tom. Ruth screams in pain and promises to take care of Tom, but the baby keeps kicking in her womb. Ruth eventually manages to get home, but she begins to get tired of her baby's psychopathic tendencies. The next day, Ruth goes to her next victim, Zach's house, posing as a potential roommate. After getting there, she learns that Zach's not home, and she's welcomed by Zach's roommate, Josh. Ruth is amazed by Josh's hospitality and kind nature. Josh asks her to stay for dinner, and she agrees in hopes that Zach would return by the time she finishes. Seeing Ruth being so nice and cordial to Josh, Ruth's baby gets upset and starts raining kicks on her belly, forcing her to rest on the couch. As Josh goes back in the kitchen, Zach arrives, and Ruth immediately takes him out with the door. Zach recognizes her and pleads with her for mercy, but Ruth, blinded by revenge, murders him with a Buddha's statue. Josh returns with the dinner, but only to witness a bloody avatar of Ruth, who then lunges at him. After returning home, Ruth regrets killing Josh as he had nothing to do with Matt's death, but her bloodthirsty baby assures her that he deserved it. The next day, Ruth again goes after Tom, but he catches her following him and foils her plan. Ruth postpones the plan to kill Tom for a while and goes after Len, one of the last two surviving people responsible for Matt's death, posing as a child charity worker to gain entry into her home. Len declines to donate and tries to get rid of her, but Ruth uses her pregnancy to force Len to let her use the washroom. When Ruth refuses to leave even after using the bathroom, Len smells a rat and calls the police. Ruth pulls out a knife from her bag while Len puts on her boxing gloves. Len eventually overpowers Ruth, but the latter again uses her pregnancy to get closer to Len and stabs her with the knife. The police arrive outside and Ruth barely manages to escape through Len's cat door. She sustains some injuries from the escapade, but fortunately the baby is perfectly healthy. After nearly getting caught, Ruth goes to visit her late husband's grave and abandons the idea of killing others. She joins a yoga class and makes several changes in her life to go back to her normal self, but her baby keeps reminding her of Matt falling to his death from the cliff. The baby keeps instigating her until Ruth again goes after the instructor. She goes to Tom's creepy Halloween party, where she learns that his wife is also pregnant, and she again has second thoughts about killing him and putting his wife in the same situation as hers. However, Ruth's baby forces her to go through with her plan and confront Tom. Upon seeing her, Tom immediately recognizes her and reveals that he didn't know that she was pregnant the day Matt died. At knife point, Tom explains the predicament he faced on that day. He apologizes to her and tells her that they had to let Matt go because otherwise others would have died with him. However, this does little to calm Ruth, and she demands to know who cut Matt's cord. All of a sudden, she starts feeling extreme pain in her stomach, and she is rushed to the hospital where her baby is delivered quickly via emergency cesarean section. After the surgery, Ruth realizes that her daughter is just a normal baby girl, not a psychopathic baby as she had imagined. She also finally admits to herself that she was killing the people responsible for Matt's death because she wanted to take revenge for herself and not because of her daughter. Ruth leaves the baby at the hospital and goes off to the cliff to pay tribute to Matt. There, she finds candles lit in honor of Matt by someone. She finds Tom at the edge of the cliff and approaches him seemingly to kill for the last time. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this and hit the like button to help us out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care.